If you're at peace, you're not worried. If you're at peace, you are truly not tempted by anything except God's love and God's Word. And when you are tempted by His love and His Word, you only want more. But you want more of the right stuff. Long-suffering. That's a word that is often hard to understand. Patient endurance. And boy, sometimes does it require a lot of patience and endurance. To beat long-suffering with the frailties, particularly of your elderly people. They are so frail. And sometimes your patience runs thin because they are set in their ways. And then this brings out long suffering, not only for yourself, but for them. But it can also be in a sick child that's got a terminal disease. Or a disease that is not terminal, but they're going to have that problem the rest of their life because it is a mental health disorder. Or there has been a genetic situation where that child will never be healthy and always dependent upon you and others for its complete and total care. But you can have this peace in the midst of turmoil and strife and temptation. Because when you have this type of peace, you do not waver. That type of peace is the complete love of God. Gentleness. I would have to say that gentleness is a dispensation. Who here can define dispensation for me? If we have a dispensation to be gentle, what does that mean?
Disposition.
Disposition.
State of mind.
State of mind.
Desire.
Desire.
Need.
Right. And isn't this kind of gentleness also soft-spoken?
Yeah.
Kind, even-tempered, perhaps even cultured?
Kind of refined.
All right. Refined in character and in conduct and the way we portray ourselves. And when we get that down, then we have goodness. The sixth fruit of the Spirit. What is the state of being good? Many of us ask that question from time to time. The state of being good is to be godlike in life. Now that's hard to understand. At one time I gave a series of sermons on that because it needs to be broke down into a series of sermons in order that you can completely understand. But the first place we find this likeness is in Exodus chapter 33:19. and chapter 34:6. We can also find it in Psalm 23:6 or in Ephesians chapter 5 verse 9. Who would like to look up Ephesians chapter 5 verse 9?
Okay, there it is. Someone else do it? Ephesians 5:9. Go ahead, Heather.
For the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness and righteousness and truth.
Okay.
I like what mine says.
Alright.
It says, for this light within you produces only what is good and right and true.
Okay. Would you also look up Matthew 5:44-48?
But I say, love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you. In that way you will be acting as true children of your Father in heaven. For he gives his sunlight to both the evil and the good, and he sends rain on the just and on the unjust too. If you love only those who love you, what good is that? Even corrupt tax collectors can do that much. If you are kind only to your friends, how are you different from anyone else? Even pagans do that. But if you are to be perfect, even as your Father in heaven is perfect.
Goodness is quite a fruit, isn't it? It's one of the most difficult to attain and yet so easy to understand.
Ralph? I'd like to just make a comment about the Ephesians.
Alright.
For the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness and righteousness and truth, which if you search out truth in science and search out things that are good in literature and elsewhere, it doesn't necessarily have to all come from the Bible or all come from your own church. Those that are doing good and should be respected and sought after. And then other pursuits. The Bible is the template, but there's other places where we can find truth and goodness.
That's true. And I'm glad you brought that out.
Sometimes people will say it's not in the Bible, so it's not good enough. It's not true. It's not good,
That's not necessarily the truth. Something I believe is the Bible is still being written today. This is one reason he tells us to keep a journal. Somebody may pick up your memoirs, your journals, and have never been introduced to God. And through the journal that you leave behind of God's work in your life,